Today we will start response to external stimuli or consciousness. All living organisms from the prokaryotes to the most complex eukaryotes have the ability to respond to change in both internal and external environment and thus ensure that they maximize their chance of survival. We sense our environment through our sense organs. For example, the dermal blood vessel in the skin of a mammal dilate in response to a rise in body temperature, and the consequent heat loss bring about a restoration of the optimum temperature of the body. A green plant on a window sill in a room grows towards one-sided light coming through the window, thus ensuring maximum exposure to light for photosynthesis. On touching the pinnules of Mimosa pudica, that is sensitive plant, touch me not, close up in pairs and droops down in succession from the tip backward. If the stimulus is strong, the whole leaf becomes affected and it bends towards organism. Therefore, are aware of their surrounding. Human being is the only organism who is aware of organism himself, that is, has consciousness, therefore becoming definite property of all living beings. Sometimes it becomes difficult to define the living state of human beings. The patient lying in coma in hospital, virtually supported by machine, has no self-consciousness. Are such patients who never come back to normal life, living or non-living? Next is movement. Life is characterized by activity. The movement shown by living organisms comes from within and they move for various reasons, which may be for food or shelter or to avoid unfavorable condition in their surrounding. In most animals, the movement of the part is more obvious and they also move from place to place. Movement occurs in plants both within their cell and indeed within the whole structure, though at a much slower rate than animals. There are fewer animals and plants which can't move. Hence, movement is not a definite property of all living beings. A non-living object like a car can also move from one place to another, but its movement occurs due to external force, while a living organism moves by energy produced within a body. All living things have ability to acquire materials and energy. We are capable to convert our food, a form of energy, to chemicals which our body cell can use through metabolism. Living organisms acquire material and energy from their environment for metabolism. Anabolism is a process such as tissue growth that involves synthesizing or putting together complex substances from simpler substances, that is sugar, and this required energy. Catabolism is the final breakdown, digestion of complex substances into simpler ones and then release energy. Metabolism is the sum total of all biochemical reaction in the body or balance between anabolism and catabolism that I already told you in previous class. Living things has ability to move. Living things move in a direct and controlled way, moving of their one's own accord. Non-living things only move if they are pushed or pulled by something else. The majority of animals except sedentary form such as sponges usually move their whole bodies, often supported by specialized organs such as fins, wings and legs. They are called locomotory organs, moving the animal from place to place. Plant movement is not locomotory and does not generally involve moving the whole body. Leaves turning towards the light or shoot growing upwards, whatever the orientation of the rest of the plant, are example of how plants move. These movements are generally very slow and not always obvious. All living things have an ability to adapt. Living organisms adapt to environment changes and have the capacity to evolve into new types of organism. Modification enable an organism to survive in its environment. Natural selection allow individual with better adaptation to survive better and reproduce more. Thus their characteristics are passed into future generation and that makes the species stronger. However, it is important to note that individuals can only adapt to their environment and species do not adapt, they evolve. So, living organism possess the tendency to undergo or institute changes in their structure, function, or behavior that improve their capacity to survive in a particular environment. Hence, it is a definite property of all living beings, that is adaptation. Now I am talking about reproduction. The lifespan of an organism is limited, but they all have the ability to perpetuate life, they ensuring the survival of the species. The resulting offspring have the same general characteristics as the parents. This ability of organisms to produce new individuals like themselves is known as reproduction. Invariably, we refer reproduction as sexual reproduction. Organisms reproduced by asexual means also. Fungi multiply by several types of asexual spores. Some lower organisms like yeast and hydra reproduce by budding. In plain area means flatworms, starfish, echinoderms, etc. Phenomena of regeneration is found, that is, a fragmented organism regenerates the lost part of its body and becomes a new organism. Some organisms like filamentous algae, fungi, the protonema of mosses, etc. all easily multiply by fragmentation. In unicellular organisms like bacteria, unicellular algae or amoeba, reproduction is synchronous with growth, that is increase in number of cells. Thus, in these organisms, the uses of these two terms, growth and reproduction, is not very clear. Moreover, there are many organisms like mule, sterile worker bee, infertile human couples, etc., which do not reproduce. Hence, reproduction is not a definite property of all living beings. However, no non-living object is capable of reproducing or replicating by itself. So, reproduction is the characteristics of all living beings that permits the individual to make replicates of their own kind. Living organisms reproduce themselves using a molecular blueprint called DNA. Although some organism molecules able to make replicates from themselves, they lack of the other characteristic of living beings. Living things are able to reproduce themselves. If organisms fail to do this, population will diminish and disappear as their members die from old age, disease, accident, predation, etc. It is a fundamental law of biology that living things can only be produced by other living things. Every living organism owes its experience to the reproductive activities of other organisms. There are two fundamental types of reproduction: asexual and sexual. Asexual reproduction involves no exchange of genetic material but is a simple replication to produce a new organism. Organisms produced in this way display little or no genetic variation from the parent organism and are called clones. Plants growing from tuber or bulbils such as potatoes and daffodils are displaying asexual reproduction. Sexual reproduction involves the combining of genetic material from two parent organisms. The offspring from sexual reproduction will generally display some of characteristics of both parents. Sexual reproduction ensures that there is a high degree of variation with populations. The parent organism gives rise to reproduced cell called gametes. These are formed by a special type of cell division called meiosis. The cell produced in this way has half the normal amount of genetic material. When the gamete from one parent fuses with the gamete of other, the resulting single cell is called zygote, has a full complement of genetic material, half coming from one parent and half from the other. The Mentioned characteristics can be observed to a greater or lesser extent in all living organisms and are the means of indicating the existence of life. In addition, life comes from pre-existing life, and this genetic continuity is a fundamental principle of biology. There is a constant interplay between the internal system of organism and the environment. Organism also changes over time, so the descendants are morphologically and physiologically distinct from the ancestors.